And a good Tuesday to all y'all out there on the inner tube. It's been a while, but yes, this is the Jerry Hinkle program. I'm Jerry Hinkle. This is my program, and we're coming to you almost live, just about pretty near from the old Rising Sun studios of the Halliburton Advocate Media International headquarters, situated in beautiful downtown uh, Mitchell, South Dakota, just on the edge of Cornfield County, not too far from the real world, just far enough that we are kind of almost isolated out here. It's boy, I'm looking out the Dave Dedrick weather window, and that was quite a storm we had this weekend. 6 to 8 inches of, depending on who you ask. I did not ever hear any official word on this, but there was 6 to 8 inches dumped on Cornfield County, and they're starting. They dug out the streets of Mitchell last night, or so I've been told. I haven't, I haven't looked that far out of the Dave Dedrick window, but I heard. Believe it or not, I heard. See, last night I had the night off from work, so I did hear snowplows going. So I'm assuming that, once I get out of the snowbank that they created behind my car, I will be able to leave the parking lot. All right. Okay. Well, we all know how that goes, but um, well, it's like man says, it has been a while. I Our last episode of the Jerry Hinkle program was back in May, Memorial Weekend, and we had some things to talk about. And one of the well, and I told you that I would be back on Labor Day with something exciting, and I didn't. And here it is, just in December, and nothing exciting has happened, and then hopefully nothing exciting will happen today. You never know. Uh, so let's explain why the hiatus was a little longer than I said it would be. For one thing, uh, on the early morning of July 17, uh, around 12:25 a.m., just shortly after midnight, I was at work at a certain retail establishment that shall remain uh, nameless for the most part. Uh, you know, we, it shall remain nameless. We're not going to talk about that. But I was at work at this retail establishment when all of a sudden something happened in my nose there, and I thought, I had been, when you work in frozen in the dairy department, you have pretty much that your colds never really go away. They leave for a while and they come back. So I just had a little stuffed up nose, and I rubbed it just out of habit, which is a bad habit to have when you work with people. I know, customers and whatnot, but I did, and there was blood. So instinctively, I reached, got my blue towel out of my pocket, and plugged up my nose. Then I code 3'd it over to the restroom, and where I bled continuously for like ever, and well, finally someone found me there, and then one thing led to another. Pretty soon they were driving me to the emergency room, and then there was the filling out of the paperwork and all this other jazz. Well, the first thing they did was take my blood pressure, so I knew I wasn't going to get out of there anytime soon, because the family curse and all. Well, They finally did get the nose. They got the bleeding stopped, and that's what I was mostly concerned about because I could resume my duties there at Walmart if only it would stop bleeding. But unfortunately, the nosebleed was indicative of a bigger problem called hypertension, and so that's where um, then they got to talking. I need a primary care physician and all this other jazz, and so uh, one thing led to another. But next thing you know, I had to give up bacon, sausage, cake, and pie, lunch meat, and well, they wanted me to give up caffeine, but that was not going to happen. Anyhow, so so that was a thing, and that's a work in progress right now. I'm pretty sure that that hypertension cloud is going to always be with me because I just because it's the way you know John McGinnis, my great grandfather, it ended up killing him. Hypertension ended up killing my grandma Birgit, and yes, with medication, she made it to 81, and well, with medication, my father is making it. He's 84, I believe, looking real good for 84, but he's 84, and I'm 51. I feel like I'm 116, but that's beside the point. Um, I guess we'll see how that goes, uh, and another thing, after much cajoling, uh, I finally gave in to my parents' unreasonable demand that I get health insurance. I was perfectly willing to let the government come and take me to one of their concentration camps and force me to make pots and pans and all this other jazz because because not having care insurance health insurance is illegal. So I was willing to go to jail for that because I did not believe, and I still don't, that the government has the rights to force you into doing that kind of thing. It's one thing. Well, and of course, the one thing that brought it home to me is that uh, it is possible for my hypertension to do something to me while I am, and it is possible that I could bring harm to other people because if I was driving and had a stroke, or all kind of stuff could happen. So, well, anyhow, I got the health care insurance. You'd have thought that would have made them happy. It didn't, because my parents are never happy with me. If Dougie went around with no health insurance, they would, oh, mighty Dougie, it would be okay with them. But I I'm a little different. Anyhow, that's why we're up to this point, and um, so what's going on? Well, what I didn't mean on talking this long. Well, who we talking about? I knew we would be here for at least a half hour, but so now it just well, I don't know because it's nearly the end of the year. December is when the first episode that I filmed was on December 1st of whatever year it was. If I remember later, I'll put it in the comments. Um, but this time, and of course, it's the Christmas season, and there's a few things I want to say about that. And so uh, we're going to call this our War on Christmas special. Uh, And when I talked about reviving the Jerry Hinkle program, the first request I had was, was less politics and more singing and less politics. That's how it was phrased, I believe. Well, so let's take care of that politics right away. Uh, I, our Holabird Advocate Media Person of the Year, big surprise, I'm sure, well, maybe not such a big surprise, will be Dusty Johnson. Uh, it's, uh, I don't know. Time Magazine might find someone else. Matter of fact, they are going to find someone else. But as for us, I don't think you can find anyone better to talk about this year because uh, well, he had a pretty rough start to the year, if you recall. People were accusing him of doing all kinds of political skullduggery, um, riding the state airplane and not paying for it, and without permission, and all this other jazz, and taking his kids up to see this and that and the other thing. And, well, uh, of course, those of us who've known Mr. Johnson best know that he wasn't going to let that go unanswered. He and right and worked because by answering all these charges, people kind of stood up and took notice. And one of the fellas running against him, I forget his name. He was some fella from Watertown. He had a lot of Trump supporters backing him, and he was complaining that nobody wanted to talk politics with him. So I said, well, I would talk politics with. I said right here on the on the program. I says I would talk politics with him. Just show up at the show up at the Corn Palace sometime. We'll talk politics. Well, then after I got to hearing some of the things he had to say about Mr. Johnson, I said, I don't think I want to talk with this guy. He's not very nice. There's a reason people don't want to talk with this guy. I mean, I've heard rude people in my life, but that fella, he was, and maybe the pressure of running for Congress does that to a fella. It never did it to Mr. Johnson, but it does do it to some folks, I guess. And even Chantel Krebs got a little nasty there, and that's not, usually, you see her smiling and happy in the photograph. Then when she gets to talking, she was kind of nasty to Dusty too. Of course, he's probably forgiven them all by now, and of course, it all worked out for the uh, uh, proverbial best because he was elected. And now the real trouble starts because now, what are they going? They gotta. It's like in that movie with Robert Redford. We won the election. Now what we gonna do? Well, I'm sure. I'm sure that they were planning for this eventuality. And to be honest with you, the closer to election day they got, the more certain I was that when the Rapid City Journal endorsed Mr. Johnson, I says, well, he might as well call up a moving company because he's got this in the bag. Or not the Rapid City Journal. That was the other guy. Argus Leader. That's the one. Thank you. Thank you, Nora. Anyhow, Nora, my new secretary, just y'all remember the previous secretary I forgot her name already, but Nora has replaced her, and well, the other one wasn't available when I was looking. She got tired of not doing anything, if you can imagine. So, but Nora, she stepped in, and she's done everything except for polish. And she says, I don't do windows, so the Didrik window, I still have to polish that myself. Anyhow, so that's, but and belated congratulations to, well, I did congratulate him on Facebook, so, and I'll congratulate him here. And if we meet up for chili at the Corn Palace tonight, which is it's possible, but not very probable, I'm sure, because there's going to be a lot of folks out there. Uh, 3,000 at one time. So we'll see how that goes. And so we got politics out the way. How about a little tune? Jingle bells, jingle all the way. Oh, what fun it is to ride in a one-horse open sleigh. Hey, jingle bells, jingle all the way. Oh, what fun it is to ride in a one-horse open sleigh. Day or two ago, I thought I'd take a ride, and some gal named Fanny Bright was seated by my side, and the horse was leaning lank, and misfortune seemed his lot. And we got into a drifted bank, and we all got upside. It's my own fault, because I don't know that much about horses. Jingle bells, jingle all the way. Oh, what fun it is to ride in a one-horse open sleigh. Oh, jingle bells, jingle all the way. Oh, what fun it is to ride in a one-horse open sleigh. Did we go with dashing through the snow in a one-horse open sleigh? O'er the fields we go, laughing, 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 laughing. Brian Seltzer does that to me all the time. Well, the bells on bobtail ring, making spirits bright. What fun it is to ride and sing a sleighing song tonight. Oh, jingle bells, jingle all the way. Oh, what fun it is to glide in a 57 Chevrolet. I'm going to have to take his word for that, because I ain't never did that. My dad did that one time, but well, we need not discuss that. Jingle bells, jingle all the way. Oh, what fun it is to ride in a one-horse open sleigh, yeah. So now the ground is white, and go out while you're young. Don't do it. Don't wait till you're my age. Do it while you're young. And take some girls tonight and sing this sleighing song. Just get a bobtail bay, 240 speed. That's pretty fast. You can't tell me 240. That's faster than a 57 Chevy you'll go. Just about, I think. 240 speed. Get him to an open sleigh and crack, you'll take the. You might crack your one horse open sleigh if you get a horse that'll go 240. Woo! And a highway patrol need a chopper to catch you. Okay, well, that's see now. One of the things, one of the reasons that I decided to these old Christmas songs, the copyright has gone. If I was to sing Jingle Bell Rock, I'd have to pay Mr. Bobby Helms just some money to let me sing that. But the guy who wrote Jingle Bells back in 1857, he's dead, and he don't care if he gets paid. So that's one good thing. I see a lot of if we're going to do music, let's do some real old music we don't have to pay for. And that night came upon a midnight clear, that glorious song of old, from angels bending near the earth to touch their harps of gold. Peace on the earth, goodwill to men, from heaven's all gracious King. The world in solemn stillness lay to hear the angels sing. Just wait till the ACLU hear that. They'll protest it, not just because of the way I sound. Here's a little gem that I know is old, because it was written 99 years before I was born, so and so that's old. Uh, Anyhow, it's about a little town, not Holabird, no. Oh, little town of Bethlehem, how still we see thee lie above thy deep and dreamless sleep. The silent stars go by, yet in thy dark street shineth the everlasting light. The hopes and fears of all the years are met in thee tonight. For Christ is born of Mary, and something happens. And while angels sleep, they keep their while mortals sleep, the angels keep their watch of wandering love. We hear the Christmas angels their great glad tidings tell. Abide with us, come, our Lord Emmanuel. And I don't, other verses, the first verse everybody knows, but when you get into them subsequent verses, you need the hymnal, don't you? So what else? Let's really be careful. I don't know. I'm going to find out later on, but this morning I heard Aretha Franklin, the late great Aretha Franklin, as it turns out, and well, I heard her, the oldies station was playing her, and that other fella that died not too long ago. It's Christmas time. It was that Tom Petty. Yeah, that's the guy. Thank you, Nora. Anyhow, and I don't know that song by Tom Petty, but Winter Wonderland. Yeah. Sleigh bells ring, are you listening? In the lane, snow's glistening. A beautiful sight, we're happy tonight, walking in a winter wonderland. Gone away is the new bird, here to stay. No, gone away is the bluebird, here to stay is the new bird. He sings a love song as we go along, walking in a winter wonderland. In the meadow we can build a snowman and pretend that he is Murphy Brown. No, Pastor Brown, Parson Brown. There we go. He'll say, "Are you married?" We'll say, "No, man." But you can do the job when you're in town. Later on, we'll conspire as we groove by the fire and face unafraid all the plans that we made, walking in a winter wonderland, walking in a winter wonderland. Yeah, next time I'll do a little, there's a Christmas parody about that well, maybe I won't do that one. Anyhow, well, we are coming up on we got a few minutes left. I want to do. I want to. We're going to inject a little more politics in here. Sorry to all y'all who. But and there's. You ever notice this war on Christmas jazz? It's always the liberals who insist that there's no war on Christmas, and yet they're the ones that are making the war. And one of the reasons that they was saying, I saw a post on Facebook that there are 29 religious festivals in, I think it's from November to December, and from all the world religions, and Christmas. So, and not all of them had to do with Christmas. And I said, well, I had to call BS on that because let's see, I studied world religions, so I know all the major religions, and I don't know that there's 29. Now you take even if you're going to take the days, like there's 12 days to Christmas, so that's 12 right there. Then you got your 8 days of Hanukkah, that's 20. Thanksgiving is kind of a religious holiday, so so that's 21. Black Friday for those the crass consumer worshipers, that's 22. There's that Festivus that Seinfeld started, that's 23. Life Day for all those Jedi Knights out there and Wookiees. That's 24. So you see, and you know, and like I say, Christmas is 12 of those 24 days. So it's going to be a little, and let's be honest, crass consumerism, uh, Seinfeld, and even the Jedi religion aren't exactly, and the Wookiees, they're not exactly major religions. Uh, I'm sure the Pastafarians have National Spaghetti Day somewhere, but I don't know. But now I will be obliged. Now, if there's someone out there who is listening and who knows how can figure out what these 29 days are and to tell me when they are, what day they fall on, which religion they are a part of, and here is the kicker. Now we're talking major religions, so obviously Christianity will not be one of them because that's the people you're fighting with, and but like okay, well let's do okay all 29 holidays. Tell me if they're part of Christian, Muslim, or Jewish, uh, Hindu, Buddhism, or you're Native American. Those six major religions. Now, those are the major religions. I know this because I studied world religions at a nationally accredited university. So that's the criteria. If you can find 29 holidays that are celebrated by those six religions in November and December, I will get you the biggest uh, gift card from a certain retail establishment that shall remain nameless. And it's going to be a Merry Christmas for everybody that way. But actually, a war on Christmas has never been so much fun for me because I like, um, and uh, Christmas for me isn't even about the birth of Jesus. Well, I know I've the science has proven that Jesus was born because the star in the sky, over Bethlehem and for 2 years and whatever. The uh, Someone has looked at the records of this magi over there in the east, and they discovered that the only possible time for Jesus to be born was um, April 17th, 6 BC, something like that, was when the last time that particular phenomenon that it started on 6 BC and it ended sometime around 4 BC. Because guess who died on 4 BC? King Herod. Imagine that. King Herod he was not really a king. He was the figurehead of the Roman government, but they put him up there. They figured if the Jews had a Jew watching over them, that they would be less likely to rebel. Anyhow, so that's your little history lesson. And of course, uh, uh, Christmas was moved to its present location by the Roman government, Caesar Constantine, sometime in the 3rd century. He co-opted Saturnalia as another major religion. So, well, okay, the Druids and pagans. Well, but okay, Saturnalia. That's 25. That's 25 days. Anyhow, well, uh, we better knock it off for this because we're getting real close to the half-hour mark. So until next time, ladies and gentlemen, and all the ships, this is Jerry Hinkle with Jerry Hinkle Program. We're just going to sign off for this week, and maybe we'll be back again next week. Maybe we won't. But Just remember, get out of my bathroom. You're invading my privacy, and God be with you. Do the best you can.